In the tranquil hills of Jeollanam-do, a small, idyllic village stood. It was home to Choi Hyejin, a man of wealth and influence, who owned vast stretches of land and a beautiful ranch. Among the workers on the farm was young Hyun-woo, a boy of 8 who lived with his grandmother. She worked as a housekeeper for the Choi family, raising her grandson after he had lost his parents to illness. Hyun-woo, a resilient and ambitious young man in his early 20s who grew up working on a ranch with his grandmother before becoming a successful entrepreneur, marked by his humility and strong sense of loyalty. Eun-ji, a kind and empathetic rich girl who spent her childhood on her father's ranch, later navigating her life with grace and determination after her family faces financial hardships. Mr. Choi, Eun-ji's father, a once wealthy, proud businessman who owns the ranch, his judgmental nature softens as his circumstances change, teaching him the value of character over status. In the mornings, Hyun-woo tended to the animals while Eun-ji, Choi Hyejin's daughter, played and spent her days exploring the countryside. Eun-ji was a bright, curious child, and Hyun-woo, with his sharp wit and endearing nature, quickly became her best friend. They laughed together, chased fireflies in the fields, and whispered secrets beneath the stars. They were inseparable, but the world around them wasn't as kind. Choi Hyejin, seeing their bond, frowned upon it. "People like us don't associate with the help," he would often warn Eun-ji, his voice a strict command. His disapproval cast a shadow over their innocent friendship. Then, when Hyun-woo was 10, the unthinkable happened. His grandmother passed away. With no one to care for him and no family left, Hyun-woo was forced to leave the Choi household and the childhood he'd known. Eun-ji begged him to stay, but the separation was inevitable. Hyun-woo walked away from the only life he had ever known, but he never forgot Eun-ji, and she never stopped thinking of him. Years passed, and time did what it does best. It changed everything. Both Hyun-woo and Eun-ji ended up in Daegu, though they never knew the other was nearby. Hyun-woo, now a young man in his 20s, had worked hard to build a future for himself. From humble beginnings, he worked 3 jobs, studied by night, and fought through the struggles of a fast-paced world. Finally, after years of tireless work, he established himself in business, becoming a successful entrepreneur. Yet, despite his accomplishments, he often wondered about the girl he had grown up with, the girl who had once shared his dreams and laughter. Eun-ji, on the other hand, was living in the city as well. She had finished college and had started her career, though she couldn't escape the burden of her family's declining wealth. Choi Hyejin had invested poorly, and the Choi legacy was beginning to crumble. To make matters worse, Eun-ji's once proud family was now struggling to stay afloat. She had to help, working 2 part-time jobs while dreaming of a better life. The two crossed paths again in a small cafe, one that Eun-ji worked at part-time. Hyun-woo, looking for a place to think, had entered the cafe that day, unaware of the coincidence. When Eun-ji brought his coffee to his table, she introduced herself as simply Eun-ji. There was something vaguely familiar about her name to Hyun-woo. It echoed in his mind, but he couldn't quite place why. Similarly, Eun-ji felt like the name Hyun-woo carried some hidden meaning, but no matter how much she tried, the pieces didn't fit together. Still, something unexplainable was pulling them together. They conversed, shared smiles, and even laughed about the randomness of life. Neither of them recognized that they had known each other as children, but the names remained hauntingly familiar, as if their lives had intersected somewhere long ago. Months later, Hyun-woo learned that the Choi family had returned to the village to live on the old ranch. Their wealth was gone, and the land they once proudly owned had become a symbol of past glories. Hyun-woo was curious, and despite his busy schedule, he decided to pay a visit to the Choi estate, a place from his past. When Hyun-woo arrived, he walked through the fields, remembering the innocent days of his childhood. The familiar sights and smells, the distant hills, the barn, The wind chimes called to him. Inside the house, something caught his eye, an old family portrait hanging on the wall. It was a picture of him and Eunji as children, full of laughter, joy, and endless summers. He stared at it in disbelief. His heart skipped. "It's her," he whispered to himself, as memories of their time together came rushing back. The laughter, the adventures, they were all flooding back to him in an instant. Eunji, still unaware of the connection, walked into the room and stopped short, seeing Hyunwoo lost in the picture. Something in her chest tightened. "What are you looking at?" she asked quietly. Hyunwoo turned to face her, his eyes wide. He felt a weight lift from his heart. It's you," he said, his voice shaking. Eunji's face went pale as realization hit. She took a step back, her mind racing. The girl from the photo, the childhood friend, the memories crashed over her. It was Hyunwoo, the boy she had loved, the boy who had left, who she thought was lost forever. Tears welled up in her eyes as she whispered, "Hyunwoo." Her voice was barely audible. But the story didn't end there. Their reunion wasn't just a happy accident. It was the start of something beautiful. Hyunwoo, now an accomplished businessman, stayed in the village for several days, rekindling his bond with Eunji and learning more about her life, her struggles, and her dreams. For the first time, they could truly talk, without the shadows of the past, without the expectations of society or family. It was just them. Together, they walked the ranch's fields once more. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories like this one. We appreciate your support and can't wait to see you in the next video. Until then, take care and stay inspired.